Hey everyone, and welcome back to Diablo Flamenco. In this video I'm going to give you my top 5 tips for learning and understanding bar chords, also commonly known as bar chords. So come join me in this short little workshop video. Let's get started. First, let's discuss what a bar chord actually is. So a bar chord is where we hold at least 2 strings with our index finger. However, the most common bar chords require us having to hold 5 or all 6 strings with our index finger. So let's start with my first tip, which is to not overextend your index finger, and I think this is one of the most important tips I can give you right off the bat. So what I mean by that is, a big rookie mistake I see is people go to play a bar chord and they overextend their index. You see how far this is coming up off of the neck. The reason why we don't want to do this is because we have more strength in the tip of the finger than we do down here. And even though that seems kind of odd because this is where more of the muscle is, but think about everyday life, using our fingertips to play on a tablet or type on our cell phone or even writing with a pencil or a pen. The control comes from the tip and not so much from the bottom of the finger here. So what we want to do, instead of having our finger up like this, we're gonna move it down so it's kind of in line with the neck here. It's okay if it comes up a little bit, but not a drastic elevation like this. So just bring it down here and keep it as close to the fret as you can. So remember, the fret is the metal strips that go across. So if I want to bar my first fret here, I'm going to move my index as close as I can to this metal strip here without going over it. And that is my first tip. My second tip is to roll your finger on its side. And this is another really common rookie mistake that a lot of people make, and it ends up being very frustrating to a lot of beginner guitarists. Take a look at the bottom of your finger. You'll see that we have these little grooves that go across the finger, which allow our fingers to bend. So if we play flat with this part of the finger, there's a pretty good chance that one of our strings is going to get caught in these grooves here. However, if you look at the side of the finger, you'll see that these grooves are not there. It's more solid, and even this part of the finger is harder than it is on the bottom here. So what I want you to do is, wherever you decide to place your bar, you're going to roll the finger towards the headstock. So if your fretting hand is your left hand like mine, you're going to roll your finger to the left towards the headstock. So the left side of my index finger is holding the bar. And this adds strength to pushing down the bar. My next tip is to play each string individually as you're practicing your bar chords. And what this does is it tells you where exactly you might not be pressing enough for your bar. So if we're doing a full bar, you hear all of these are coming out clean. However, if I wasn't holding it correctly, you hear my D string here is no longer ringing, and neither are these. So then I have to say to myself, oh, maybe I'm not pressing enough with my hand to get these to ring. And a good exercise for this too is start by only holding 2 strings at a time. Just pick a random fret, build your bar, do the little trick of rolling the finger on its side too. Just get 2 strings to ring first. If those ring, then hold 3 strings. And then 4. Then 5. And then finally all 6. Now, the reason why this is important is if I just tried to strum all the way and I wasn't holding the bar correctly, I can't hear exactly where my issue is. So always play 1 string at a time. So that way you can hear where our mistakes lie in our hand. My 4th tip was a game changer for me as I was learning bar chords. And that is to use gravity and physics to your advantage. So what do I mean by this? So it doesn't require brute strength to play bar chords, and a lot of you might be shocked to hear that, because I know a lot of you are going to be really squeezing and your hands are going to hurt when you're doing bar chords. but this is actually unnecessary. If we understand gravity and how physics works, then we can play bar chords even without the thumb on the back of the neck. So how we're going to do this is just build a random bar chord. It can be our typical F shape, which is usually the first shape that you learn. Put it on the guitar, and what you're going to do is you're going to drop your shoulder and pull the guitar closer to you. It's basically a downward movement and towards the back. And I'm trying to exaggerate this so you see it on the camera. So you see I pull down and towards me. And what this does is it actually pushes the chord down for you, to the point where if I take my thumb off, you can hear I get my bar chord to ring no problem. This alleviates so much tension, and it was such a game changer for me when I was learning bar chords, and I really hope that this one helps you. And my final tip is to understand how tension works on your guitar. So what I mean by this is if I am holding this chord here, this is technically a G sharp major bar chord at the 4th fret here, but you can see I have a bar going across and I have my fingers holding some other notes underneath the bar. So if I have notes being held underneath the bar, do you think I need to put a whole lot of tension on the entirety of my index finger? Probably not, right? Because I have these other fingers that are also working for me. So if you're thinking about it, the whole middle of the guitar is occupied by these 3 fingers, my middle, ring, and pinky finger. So really the only places I have to put tension for the bar is here and the 2 strings down here. Everything else is occupied by these fingers. So I don't have to squeeze as hard as I might think. And I know this seems like a weird concept, but the more that you think about it, the more it makes sense. And I want you to just play around with these tensions and see how it works for you. And I guarantee it's going to free up a lot of tension in your fretting hand. Now let's practice our bar chords in a musical setting. Here we're going to use the style of rumba to practice our bar chords, with a really easy progression that's very common in flamenco, and you probably heard it before on this channel, and that is the Andalucian Cadence, or more commonly A minor to G to F to E major. So let me break down these chords, and you can use any strumming pattern as well, and we'll get into that in a second. So an A minor bar chord, we're going to hold all 6 strings at the 5th fret, and then your ring finger is going to go underneath the bar. You can think of it as the 2nd fret, even though it's technically the 7th fret of A. We're going to hold this note, and then the pinky's going to go underneath it and hold the 2nd fret on the D string. And if we pick all of our strings individually, use all of our tips mentioned before, your A minor bar chord should sound like this. So it's basically a bar and what looks like an E minor shape. That's why this is a minor bar chord. Now, next chord is a G major. I'm going to take this whole shape, move it down to the 3rd fret, and I'm going to add 1 more finger to make it major. I'm going to put that middle finger on the 1st fret, even though technically it's the 4th fret of G. So you see it's a bar with the index and what looks like an E major chord underneath. That's what makes this a major bar chord. So that's our G major. Now, to get our F, all we're going to do is take this whole shape, move it down to the 1st fret. Nothing changes, now we have our F chord. And finally we go to a regular E major to close the progression. So you have 3 bar chords and 1 regular open chord that all of you probably already know. So, one more time, A minor. Slide back to 3rd fret, place your middle finger down. We have G major. Slide back, nothing changes. We have our F. finally E major. And that is the Andalusian Cadence with bar chords. Now with this, you can use any strumming pattern you want. You can always just do a plain one strum down, or you can use any type of rumba strum you might already know. Of course, you can get more fancy with this. You can start doing some Gypsy King. And get something a little fancier. But start simple first. As you get used to the bar chords, then you can add some little flary type strums and make the sound much more interesting and much more authentic. You can do the same progression as well with a capo, or you can move the pattern down. So let's say, for example, instead of A minor here at the 5th fret, what if I move it down to 6? And then move it down to 4th fret, and then 2nd fret, and then to 1st fret. It's literally the same thing we've done here at the 5th fret, 3rd fret, 1st fret to open E. It's just sounding higher. It's in a different key basically. Instead of A minor, this is at A sharp minor. To G sharp minor. To F sharp minor, or major, sorry. To F. Let me correct myself in case I mess it up. So A sharp minor at the 6th fret, and then G sharp major is what I meant to say at the 4th fret. Move it down to F sharp major, 2nd fret, to F major. And that is still the Andalusian cadence, but it's in a different key. And again, you can do the same. Whatever strum that you like. And now you have a rumba strum while also getting the benefit of practicing your bar chords. And that's all I'll give you for this lesson. I hope these tips help you to learn bar chords much quicker and make them not as scary. Bar chords are a technique that a lot of beginners either ignore or refuse to learn because of the notorious difficulty. But I hope these tips help you realize that they're not as intimidating as one might think. We just have to learn how our body works mechanically and ergonomically to get these to sound and work to our advantage. And I hope that this was a fun musical example, putting them in rumba for you. So that's all I'll give you today. Go ahead and enjoy this warm-up and practice, and I will see you in the next class.